Something feels different today. My body is all warm and bright. I need to get some fresh air. I wonder how my best buddy slept. Zack, he's wandered off again. Where did he go this time? Zack's quite the explorer. There are times when he wanders around the cabin for hours, digging up holes and finding all sorts of junk. I remember, as a kid, I was living with my parents by the lakeside. I used to follow Zack around and watch him the whole time, going from one patch of dirt to the next, to see if he found anything. He must have dug about a dozen holes, and we didn't find a thing. Soon I was about to give up, but then, one day, Zack found something close to the lake. It was a regular old ball. It looked huge in my small hands, and it would change my life forever. Finding that ball was such an amazing feeling. Even though it was just an old dirty ball, it felt special, like I was meant to find it. From there, I never wanted Zack to stop digging. I wanted to see what more he could find. I wasn't the brightest when it came down to school. During the usual subjects, my mind wanders off. If I get called to answer a question, my body freezes, and my throat closes up. Whenever I get homework, I just finish it as quick as I can so I can be free from the shackles. That being said, it wasn't all bad. Arts was a great way to express myself, let my imagination run wild on a blank canvas, and physical education was like extended recess. Every step made me stronger, live longer. If I get knocked down, I get back up. My dad used a rowboat to go fishing in the lake. He was a hunter, but he knew his way around a boat and fishing line. His dad was a hunter and passed his knowledge down to him. People hate the thought of hunting wild animals, but my dad saw it as a way to provide for us. He didn't enjoy it, he respected each and every animal. They helped us get by, and he taught me to thank each animal for what we are given. The further we moved from the cabin, the more things we found, and the memories that were created from them. I'm starting to remember the special things we found. They made me who I am today. I wonder if I could recollect them. High school was tough. A lot of bad times there. I hung around with the wrong crowd, got into all kinds of trouble. One day, a supposed friend tried to be all cool by bringing a cigarette to school, showing it off and smoking it in the playground. Everyone took a smoke and, naturally, coughed their lungs out. And then it was my turn to suffer. All I could do was hesitate. Everyone gave their worst coward impression to pressure me. It felt like my insides were squeezing me from the inside. I gave in and took the cigarette. It was my first time, so, of course, I coughed up a lot. My lungs felt like they were shrinking, clinging to what air they can grasp. I thought it was over, but it got worse, much worse. One of the teachers came out of nowhere, spotted us with a cigarette. I was the one holding it. The blame should have been shared equally, taking the load off my shoulders. But my supposed friends just dumped the entire weight on me, saying it was all my idea. They were all innocent. I felt so betrayed. I couldn't get a word out. My parents were mad that day, grounded me for a month. You never realize who your true friends are until you need them the most. As Zack kept digging down the hole, I heard ringing sounds with each sweep of the dirt. We found a rusty old metal box. It was unlocked, and there was nothing inside. I thought it was a shame at first, but had the idea to use it as a memento box. All the objects that Zack found and the memories we made stored in this box. I ended up burying it at the lakeside as a time capsule, till the day I come back and reminisce about the special memories we created. My first bike. It was difficult to ride for the first time. My parents tried to help me by holding onto the handlebars. That was embarrassing. The hard part was getting my feet off the ground. I practiced at a local park with plenty of open space, trying to get my feet off the ground for as long as I can. Eventually, I got it. Once the wind takes you, it's hard to stop. I started pedaling faster and faster. The more faster I got, the more breeze swept along my face. It felt good. I wanted to go even faster. I went so fast that I didn't notice a bump on the path. I launched so high in the air. It felt like I was flying. Everything was in slow motion. Then the wheels touched the ground, and I shot off my bike like a cannon and dragged across the stone path, scraped my arms and legs. I had to limp my way back home. I never went that fast again. With every pain comes a lesson. I love playing video games. Being transported into new worlds, live out fantasies that you can't attain in real life, games always made me happy. Sometimes my dad would come home and, out of the blue, surprise me with a new game. That was an amazing feeling. I didn't care what game it is, just having a collection of games was such a grand feeling. I always dreamed that one day I would make my own video game, my own imagination becoming reality, sharing my own stories to tell. That's when I knew I wanted to create video games when I grew up. I played with many toys powered by my imagination. It was like creating a movie set piece, and I was the director. One day, Zack found a toy boat buried beneath the dirt. I never had a toy boat before. It allowed me to take my fantasies over by the lake, expanded my creations little by little. I began to see the lake in a new light, The calm still surface of the war, so simple yet filled with many depths of emotion. It was so beautiful. This made me ask my dad if I could learn how to use the boat. He let me and Zack on for a ride. The only thing I felt was peace of mind, landing deeply within my soul. The deeper I go, the more my head starts to recall the past, as if it was trying to show me something. Something I'm forgetting, something important. There's a lot of water here. Oh god, my head. I don't want to think about it. But it's hard not to. I was playing ball with Zack. The same ball Zack found by the lake. Our excitement got the better of us, and the ball fell far into the lake. My parents spent some alone time with each other, so it was up to me to get it back. My dad showed me how to use the boat, and I felt confident for what I was about to do next. I took Zack on the boat. We rowed to the middle of the lake. As I was getting closer and closer to the ball, the weather started playing up. It started to rain. The wind started to pick up, and the clouds closed in on the lake, surrounding it like a cage. It was a storm, and it came out of nowhere. The wind was creating waves, rocking the boat back and forth, throwing me around like a ragdoll. Zack was barking, and I was calling out to my parents, but the storm was too loud. All I could think about was getting back home with Zack. Then, a huge wave capsized the boat. We both fell in. It was so cold. I couldn't swim. I was waving my arms, desperately calling for help. Just when I think that was it for me, I felt a bite from the back of my clothes. It was Zack, kicking his arms and legs and dragging me to shore. I had no idea he could swim. I could hear my parents in the distance shouting my name, hoping that the storm hasn't taken me. Before Zack dragged me to the shore, I blacked out from the intense cold and tiredness from waving and kicking my arms and legs. I woke up in the hospital the next morning, slowly opening my eyes to see my parents sitting down with a worrying look on their faces. I called them over. They immediately rushed over to me and asked how I'm feeling, what happened, don't do anything like that again. But there was only one thing on my mind. I asked, "Where is Zack?" My parents were reluctant at first, but I pushed for an answer, and then they said, "Zack is fine. Actually, he was right next to me, just below the side of the bed." I couldn't see him because the bed was so high. I was so relieved. My heart started to slow down, beats by beats. I just wanted this to be a bad dream and wake up. That was the scariest moment in my life, and the sight of a large body of water will always remind me of that day. My parents got me a computer. Most young adults eventually get one. It was only a matter of time until I got mine. I only used computers in school and college. There were restrictions on everything. I looked at many things a young adult would look at, learned things that I had no idea existed, lots of tech jargon. There were days when I was glued to my computer screen 24/7, and time seems to fly by. Hours would seem like minutes, and minutes seem like seconds, and seconds don't exist. I was invited to a house party in my college days. Well, I wasn't invited, just tagged along with a friend. Parents said don't drink too much, call me and I'll pick you up, make sure you don't stay out too late, the usual stuff. I was never invited much to parties. This one had the large crowds, the loud noise where I can't hear myself speak. You have to get right in a person's ear if you want them to hear you. I mostly stuck with the people I knew, didn't talk to anyone else. Not being in a circle of people in a house party can make you feel left out, like you're the only one who's alone. This was the first time I drank alcohol. I knew it was gonna taste bad, the first drink is the hard part, but with each cup, it gets easier and easier. The next thing I knew, I was dancing to the music, talking to people, not making any sense, and I loved every second of it. I didn't want this feeling to go away. But a few drinks more, then I start to change. I get angrier, more upset, I dwell on bad thoughts. The thing that was making me happy is now doing the complete opposite. I just wanted to get away and not talk about that night. I started my driving lessons during my college times. It was scary at first, but I got used to it. I remember failing my first driving lesson because I booked the wrong location like a dummy. Everything that could go wrong went wrong in the first minute. I drove fine before my driving test, but on the day, I felt weird, like 80% of my driving ability just sealed shut. I was making mistakes before I got to the test. What makes it worse is that the driving instructor had this gaze, staring into my mind, looking around, seeing what makes me tick. I never drove around the area before, and with all this pressure weighing on me, I felt like my spine was going to snap. And of course, I failed my driving test almost immediately, and it was over the most simplest thing. I felt like trash that week. I can't believe I made so many mistakes. But the thing with mistakes is that they can be learned from, so you can never make them again. Zack dug up an old dirty lighter. I see my mum use these when she lights up her cigarettes, so I got the idea of how to use it. I used my thumb to zip the light and nothing. I tried multiple times but it didn't work. There was no lighter fluid. It was probably for the best. I remember positioning it horizontally and tried lighting it. It could have burned my thumb, or worse, set the whole lakeside on fire. Looking back, that could have been a disaster. During the summer, my parents pushed me to get a part-time job, see what it's like in the real world. I was willing to try anything. A supermarket was opening near where I lived, so it was perfect for me. I applied and took an interview. I was so nervous. Legs twitching, hands shaking. Had to take deep breaths to control myself. Luckily, the interview itself went really smoothly, and I got the job. Except I had no idea what for. I thought it was going to be for something tedious, but the position was for a service host, which has a little more responsibility involved than some of the other roles. The first day of the job will always be a test, seeing if I can handle it, because this was just the start of something bigger. My job involved moving around a lot, getting to know my peers. I surprisingly got along with everybody, started talking to people when I was usually the quiet one. It goes to show you that you can never fully appreciate a job until you've had one yourself. When I was 16, I went to college and studied computer games. I learned things that I never knew to think about. The lectures were surprisingly lenient. Other students will mess around, watch videos and play games. But I was the only one fixated on studying, learning all I could to make the games I want to make, the stories I want to share, and eventually getting a job in the game industry and show everybody what I can do. The more ground I walk on, the more my memories start to surface. Memories buried in the back of my mind, slowly creeping out. Things I forgot I knew, or didn't want to know.